y'all. Welcome to the Talk of Fame podcast. And joining us on today's episode is Madison Cubbage. She's a North Carolina portrait photographer who adds a creative editorial flair to her session. She is personable and makes every session comfortable for anyone that can capture your vibrant natural energy. She creates mood boards tailored to the vibes you're looking for and has many consultations about the details of her session so they're on the same page before the session date and time. She encouraged during her session by using verbal affirmations when you're killing it in the posing we choose, plus even showing you how the setting shoot turns out in the moment and to show you and get your opinion. She will also show you her framing composition so she can show your body face is posed and if you want to change it. She provides professional branding sessions for local small business owners tailored to their needs, including product photography. She also specializes in portraits for those who like to have a creative session, including models building their portfolios and everyday people. Welcome to the podcast, Madison. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
So to kick off this episode, tell us kind of more about you and kind of what you do.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Mads. I'm a fashion photographer. Primarily, that's the direction that I'm wanting to go, but I really started from doing, honestly, taking photos on trails and doing landscape things. And then event photography led me into working with small businesses and doing product photography. And that's kind of why I have like a broad repertoire under my belt, at least right now. But yeah, right now I'm focusing on doing more editorial, getting into high fashion events, and yeah,
That's
just
awesome.
portraits in general, focusing on that.
What was the first event you did? Because I know with every photographer, they're always starting off events and everything differently.
Yeah, funny enough, it so in general, I started like my Instagram, my photography Instagram for fun because I just wanted to have a little space where I could put all of my work just for me to have out there. And then people started reaching out to me for taking their photos and things like that. And I came across a group of women who wanted to do like a little branding session for their small business.
Mhm.
And they are a group of women who are like makers and um, they also host small business markets in the area. So by doing their little branding session, I was able to like network with them and they were like, hey, we need like a backup photographer to take just event candid photos of people enjoying the market, um, people like drinking their iced coffee, doing like a cheers and like the live music and stuff like that. So yeah, that was my first event. They just had it's like outdoors. They have about like 20 vendors, and I took product shots of the vendors over there, people smiling and getting like their bags and stuff like that.
Oh, that's so cool. Honestly, that seems so fun to do because you're like taking pictures of everything, the emotions. Because of
Yeah,
course, when the people that are running it, they won't probably have time because they're probably too stressed about everything.
yeah, exactly. It frees them up so that way they can make sure the vendors are doing well, they're hydrated when it's hot outside, and just making sure all of the other problems are troubleshooted.
For sure. So, with each session that you do, how do you prepare your clients for those sessions and kind of ensure them that they're comfortable when doing the session?
So recently I've been starting to do phone consultations so I can really make sure that the client and I are on the same page of what they're envisioning and then adding my creative flair to it. Um, I definitely like to location scout
Mhm.
for like ahead of time so that way they have a good idea and are like reassured that the location we're going to is exactly what aesthetic we're going for. um, I like to mood board, so I'll just like find all of my images on Pinterest or elsewhere, or draw them on like Procreate and like do a little collage and be like, this is the makeup inspiration, this is the outfit inspiration, this is like a whole list of posing options. Um, I feel like I took that from whenever I used to be a teacher because I'm like a visual learner.
Mhm,
So I keep in mind that not everyone can be like verbally directed. And so
mhm,
whenever my words fail me, I'm like, hey, here's a photo. So you can be like, move your elbow this way or
mhm.
stand with your legs a certain way or something like that.
Yeah, I'm honestly the same way. I'm a visual person as well that can like imagine things. But I know a lot of people are not like that to the point where like you kind of have to show a picture or you kind of have to do it yourself. Because not everyone has to actually see it in person rather than just say, oh, you need to do this rather than
Yeah.
just show it rather than, people telling them.
Yeah, exactly.
But with each photo shoot, I know you kind of gave a little explanation of the photo shoots and scouting different locations and things, but how do you prepare for a photo shoot?
I feel like for me, it's a much scattered brain process than I feel like most people just because I don't know if it's like the slight ADHD or where everything I get that burst of energy to focus on it and then I get it all done at once or I get it done periodically throughout the week. But honestly, it's just a lot of keeping in touch with the client, keeping open communication, and if it's mainly making sure I have this timeline of like a retainer is paid, and then I use that retainer to either book the studio, and then from there we've got all of our like props and grocery store things that I need to run, or like DIY things I will make throughout the week. And it's a lot of just like keeping tabs with the client of like, okay, I've done this part. It's kind of hard to narrow it down because each client is so different.
Hmm.
Um, and then once we have the session, it's one of those like, okay, um, we're all here. We have all of our things together.
Hmm.
Now it's time when we make the magic, and honestly, that's when we kind of let go all of the planning that we did, and we really just enjoy the moment. And I think that's when the most organic shots happen.
It really is because I know when a lot of people are doing their sessions where we senior pictures, weddings or something, a lot of people forget to actually stay in a moment and actually enjoy it. And a lot of people oftentimes realize maybe the day after, like, what did I just do? I do not
Yeah,
remember any of it. Like, what did I spend money on? But that is what a lot of people struggle with, and sometimes I'm the same way. Sometimes I realize I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm doing something and I don't even know how to focus or even know what I'm doing." And it can be very difficult to actually really get into the present moment depending on who you are, because of course people might have ADHD or OCD to the point where they can't sit still. So it can be depending on the person. But, like finding the present moment is really when, like, what are you doing for this moment? Like, what are you doing this for? Is something that, you know, I know a lot of people are so struggling with to say because I have OCD, so I sometimes can't sit still at points. And so, it's something that, a lot of people kind of realize, like, okay, what do I want to do with my life to the point where my OCD is actually kicking in at this point.
yeah, I completely understand that, and I feel like again I relate it all back to everything that I learned whenever I was teaching, and it's having the patience to assess the everyone's mood and like how everyone comes into the photo shoot. And if I can feel that they're stressed out, like we go at a slower pace. And then with clients that are like a little bit more OCD, I let them just express all of their thoughts. And I'm like, okay, we want to do all these poses, but we got to tackle them one at a time. We're going to start with this one. I've got the list, and then I'll pull up the list and be like, check, we did this one. And I'll show them in the moment and be like, okay, got that one, on to the next one. And once we start slowly accomplishing those, and then they can feel like we're getting through a list, I can just
Mhm,
see them like let go, and then be able to capture like a little smile here and there. That's just like a casual laugh and all of the candid in between shots.
mhm, yeah, it's really I'm glad that you really had the patience to kind of show them. Because of course, with being a teacher, it really helps you, kind of have the more of a patience to help them in the moments. Of course, with working with kids and everything, you have more of a patience than not getting teaching experience at all and just diving right through with no patience. You just want to get done. And I know with a lot of people when they're doing sessions and when they get pictures back, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I look like crap. Like I look absolutely
Mhm.
horrible." But with you, which is great, you actually give them in a moment after the thing to really see what they look like and if they like it or not, which is great. Because when I do senior pictures in the next like 2 months or so for senior year, that is something that I kind of want in the photographers to do that.
Yeah, because I think um it's the same way where I feel like it's something that I would like, and I kind of my takeaway on why I started doing that is we all know how to twist and turn when we look at each other, like look at ourselves in the mirror, and we all know our best angles when we're looking in the mirror. And
Mm,
so it's just kind of like a little crutch of like, you don't do this normally. So you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but let me show you how stunning and how perfect. Or like this is the perspective I'm looking at. Maybe it's more zoomed in instead of full body. So then you know you don't have to worry about your legs and what your legs are doing. You could just
mhm,
focus on like half of your body, which makes it a little bit easier
mhm.
than like all of the details at once.
Yeah, instead of like getting the full body picture, you can just go from like the waist up. So it's much easier. So you won't have to worry like why are my legs like this? Like why
Yeah.
is my feet like that? Like
Or like,
it's
what do I do
a
with my
lot of people
hands?
subconscious.
Yeah.
But with all the photography things you're doing, like what steps do you take to ensure you're on the same page with your clients?
um, so a lot of it, like I said, is Um, I like to let them either find screenshots of inspiration or pull from my portfolio that they've past work that they've liked, um, phone consultations. I also will make my own mood board and we'll just combine them to make sure that the posing and stuff that I was finding is similar to theirs. And I really want it to be like a collaborative planning experience. So that way they feel heard, and then again the visuals are really what lock it in for me. Is I really try to stress that making a Pinterest board or literally like I said taking screenshots is going to give me the most concrete idea of how to make this photo shoot come to life.
Mhm.
um, and then yeah, in the moment it's I think that was another reason why I like showing them, just to be reassured myself that I'm capturing the composition and just the styles of what they like. And from there, we can even discuss, like, okay, I like this photo. Maybe we can make it grainy in the edit, or we could make the backdrop a different color in Photoshop. And then that opens up another door of making it a collaborative
Mhm.
process.
Like I like the editing part is probably like my favorite thing of all during photo shoots that you can edit it any way you want. But with creative ideas, but like a lot of people don't know what to do during photography sessions. Like sometimes when I'm taking pictures myself, I don't even know what I'm doing, honestly. But with those sessions, Pinterest is honestly a great way. That's where I find my photo ideas mostly, or if I want to get kind of a aesthetic idea when I'm bored or something. And Pinterest does have amazing photos and ideas
Hmm.
when you want to take pictures.
Yeah, so whenever I first started doing all of like my graduation sessions or even my creative birthday sessions, I relied heavily on having Pinterest just to have posing examples. And then once I got enough of them under my belt, I started to like strip it away. So I would send the the albums that I had made in the past to clients and be like, okay, this is the style you're looking for. And they'd be like, yes, I love it. Perfect. But then instead of during the session referring to that and showing them, I would try to pull from my brain and then also come up with like newer, more unique poses. That way we're making like our own piece of art instead of replicating the same birthday sessions that happen all the time. That way
Mhm.
they're more unique per client and they get a little something special instead of just the same copy paste of what
Yeah.
everyone else is doing.
Yeah, because when we're looking at pictures or photos, there's literally a lot of pictures that are literally exactly the same. Like I literally see, I'm like, oh my God, why is there the same pose every single time that I'm looking for? But being unique and finding a different pose is very, different for what, a lot of people do. So with everything, like with the same exact pose, you're just doing the same thing everyone else is. Like do something different,
Hmm.
Like the more unique the shoot is, the more people will like it.
Yeah. And I think that's why I've started leaning into more editorial and fashion, which is still why I like doing birthday sessions because I feel like I'm able to translate their like any clients like example if they want to do like a spotlight studio session with roses or something. It's a pretty classic and classy um with like a black dress kind of photo shoot, but with the way that my brain is doing research for doing editorial, I'm able to put a flair on more unique perspectives and poses. That way, it's not just the same leg cross and our hands on our hips, but
Yeah,
it's
I
capturing
know.
those like candid moments in between where it might be like a hair flip or like there's more movement and more like feeling behind the posing.
I love it. So to wrap up this episode, like how can people connect with you and look at all your portfolio and everything like that?
Oh, okay. So you can find me on Instagram at Mad Creates. That's MAD Creates Creates. Not me being bad at spelling. Um, and then on TikTok, it's Mad Creates Photography. And then I have a website, which is www.madcreatesphotos.com. And yeah, that's you'll find all of my new work on Instagram and up to date. Any behind the scenes stuff is on TikTok. I'm trying to be more active on there,
Mhm.
but I want it to be not replicating my Instagram reels and I want it to be different and more fun and laid back.
And plus with TikTok, you get more views on there than really Instagram in general.
Hmm.
But I really appreciate you for joining us today. I know I don't really do interviews for photographers, but might as well be different. With my senior year, I'm always going trying to figure out different photographers' perspective on different things. I love learning kind of the behind the scenes of that stuff. So I know for the future when I do sessions. But thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, and rate. It'll be much appreciated. But thank you, Madison. Again, I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to chat with us
Yes.
today.
Thank you so much.